Well, howdy friends, Brian Flechsig at Mad River Outfitters in the Midwest Fly Fishing Schools, and we are here once again in Northeast Ohio on a tributary to Lake Erie. It's early December 2021, and we are with, of course, the legendary Josh McQueen from Mad River Outfitters and Ohio Fly Fishing Guides. And we're chasing steelhead once again, which we do about once every spring and once every fall with Josh. And today I'm doing something a little bit different, which is a little outside my norm. And I am fishing a, I think they call these stitch rods. Is it a stitch rod or spray? Spray?
I think it's switch.
Oh, a switch. Fishing a switch rod, not stitch. And it's not stitch. And it's not spray.
Not spray.
I'm fishing a switch rod. And this is an 11-foot 7-weight, and it's theoretically a two-handed rod. I'm not quite at that two-hand level yet. I'm just basically overhead casting with a strike indicator. I kind of often tell people when they talk about two-handed rods, I'd say this hand is for hauling. All right, I'm not exactly sure how to do the spray stuff. But anyways, we're chasing steelhead today, so follow along. We'll talk a little bit about the switch rods. We'll talk about the rigs, and Josh especially wants to talk about this fancy white and red fly line that he's got here on this switch rod. So in all seriousness, a switch rod, they've been around maybe 15 years now. And as usual, I didn't pay much attention for a couple years, but it's become a huge category in the shop. And I know that Josh and Ben and Ryan and all of our guides use them a lot. And they are certainly handy tools, but they're basically 11 to say 12-foot rods, and the configuration on the handle is set up as a two-handed rod. So it's kind of a spay configuration, but the cool thing, they're still short enough and light enough that you can overhand cast, which is primarily what I've been doing. I'm not a good spay caster at all. But I've just been overhead casting with an indicator like we normally do, and it just makes it wonderful. You just get the perfect high stick, which I love to do. You can really mend, and like Josh does better than I do the stack mending. They are really handy tools, and boy, the roll casting is just an absolute breeze. I mean, it's kind of like butter, I've got to say. But then you can also turn around and spay cast. Do your snake rolls and your hobo rolls and all the things that the fancy spay casters do. So you can cast these single-handed or two-handed, and they are wildly, wildly versatile fishing tools, especially for this style of fishing that we do here on Lake Erie tributaries.
Come on, we need some viral video, Josh.
You know, some of the benefits I really enjoy of fishing with this switch rod here on the Lake Erie tributaries is the longer length just gives you so much more leverage in the cast, especially when you're throwing a couple of flies and quite a bit of split shot. It really is true. The longer the lever, the easier the job when it comes to casting. And that's true whether you're overhead casting or whether you are roll casting. And I tell you, these things just absolutely roll cast like butter. Whether you're just rolling it from down here and just rolling it back out, it's amazing how far. Or I can do it over this shoulder, roll it right out there. And then of course the increase in length allows me to mend that much better. And mending is absolutely critical in this game. If you don't have those flies drifting naturally with the speed of the current, these fish just probably aren't going to eat the fly in most cases. So it's really threefold: the overhead casting like butter, the mending, or excuse me, the roll casting here just like butter, super easy, and then the mending, and then of course controlling your drift, controlling those mends. And I'm really not perfect at this stack mending yet. I'm kind of more of a high sticker, and I control my drift a little bit more with the rod itself, the rod length itself. But Josh is really good at using this part of the switch rod. I'm not an expert on that yet, so let's have Josh tell you how to do that a little bit better.
What I like about the switch rod and what I do with it more than anything is a lot of nymphing, because traditionally, you know, with two-handed rods, specifically spey rods, they're designed to swing streamers. And I love to swing streamers with my switch rod, but I like to use it for nymphing a lot too, because I find that with the extra length, it just mends better. And specifically the stack mending, which is what my favorite way to mend with it is. I use it two-handed. I use the bottom hand to propel, to cast, and to mend. And so I'm just going to demonstrate that a little bit. I want to have get decent amount of line out, because actually when I'm doing those mends, I'm going to shoot a little bit of line. So I'll just go ahead and get that line out. And so you can see, like, I'll clamp my fly line in the rod hand, and then my bottom hand is free. It has no line in it. And I'm just going to lift my tip up high, use the bottom hand to propel, and immediately once I land in, I want to lift that rod right back up and throw fly line in a straight, kind of straight, even in line with the current above it. And then once I've set that up, it just gives me a long, clean, drag-free drift. And that's why I like the stack mend. And no matter how long I choose to drift, I can pretty much start from the bottom of the drift with a pretty good amount of fly line out and pick that rod tip right back up and just propel it with the target to the bottom hand. Again, immediately go into a couple of mends to get the fly line straight above the indicator, and I'm drifting clean.